Of the Asian Century Philippines Strategic Studies NGO, Anna Malindog-Uy. You're most welcome. Thanks for your time, Anna, today. How should we assess a military partnership between Manila and Washington as regards its impact regionally and on other regional powers, notably China?
Okay, thank you so much, Yunan, for inviting me to your program. And with regard to the declared or approved 5.8 billion US dollar arms sale to the Philippines and what it means and in relation to the geopolitical situation in the region, and that includes the South China Sea and even the volatility of the Taiwan Strait. What does it mean really, and what it means for China and for other major powers in the region and even ASEAN countries? For me, the way I see it, it's really all about the strategic goals of the United States aim to achieve through this massive arms deal with the Philippines. This arms deal is not just transactional, it's not just about aircraft. It signals deeper military alignment and alliance signaling. It reflects the U.S. broader Indo-Pacific strategy to counter and contain China in the Indo-Pacific. Obviously, the U.S. is arming an ally on the front lines of maritime dispute in the South China Sea and consequentially the Taiwan Strait, which is very volatile at the moment. So this is basically what you call U.S. military defense diplomacy with geopolitical intent. However, you have to look at how the Philippines now is being viewed by Beijing, for that matter, because it's very important. The Philippines appears under a Marcos Jr. presidency, aligning with the U.S.-led security framework in Asia, and this strategic tilt comes with risk. China will interpret this not necessarily as defensive, but more of a potential escalatory move, or what you call an escalation. And if you look at this F-16's arms deal to the Philippines, if you put it in context with the 9 declared U.S. EDCA bases and even joint patrols and expanded U.S. military presence, this signals to Beijing that the Philippines is not anymore just on the fences, but it means that the Philippines is now being on the front line of all of this geopolitical maneuvering that is happening in the region, which is not good for the Philippines because it means that we are being perceived to be more an active participant rather than a passive player in the region. So I don't think this is stabilizing the region. I think all of this will promote or provoke some kind of arms race and will not maintain the peace and security, especially on the Taiwan Strait and even on the South China Sea side. I hope that we will
a very useful overview, and a lot of different aspects there. Can I put one point to you? Has Manila clearly thought this out, the long-term ramifications? Because as you say, it's a huge deal. Maybe they did good business. Maybe they got, good numbers or figures from the US. But in terms of what this is going to mean in the long term, has this been properly thought out in your view?
On my side, I think the current government of Marcos Jr. or even the Philippines as a whole has never thought of this in really with a deeper perspective, or really looking at the whole thing or the whole arms deal, how it impacts the whole Philippines, not necessarily in terms of defense and military only, but even in terms of economy, precisely because this is a huge amount of money. And as you can see, the Philippines has its own domestic economic and finance problems at the moment. So I think this needs to be really think about. I mean, the government and the whole Philippines have really to think about this, and if it's really to our advantage and if really we can afford this. Because as far as I'm concerned, when you talk about F-16s, it's not just about the amount of money that you put when you buy this military assets. It's also about how you're going to maintain this in terms of operation and in terms of spare parts and all of these things, So this is something that our side, the Philippines, and even the government of Marcos Jr. really has to think. What is really the purpose of this? Is it really an advantage for us? And is this really the time for us as a country to buy such kind of very expensive military assets from the United States? And if in any case it's really all about military buildup, there are other countries in the region and even in the world that we can actually access a more a cheaper but still equally capable, and the capacity is still the same. When you talk about we talk about jet fighters, and you can have it from Russia, even in China. So this is something that our country, the Philippines, and the government has really to think about and see where it's leading and what's the impact of this, both domestically, economically-wise, finance-wise, and even geostrategic, geopolitically speaking, vis-a-vis China. Because at the end of the day, this is from the American side, and as you can see, when it comes to America, China is always anxious, and we know that our location as a country, the Philippines, is very strategic vis-a-vis Taiwan and Taiwan Strait, and even vis-a-vis the South China Sea. Yes.
Very interesting. Lots of food for thought. Indeed, lots of questions going forward as you've laid out. Long-time columnist at the Manila Times, Anna Malindog-Uy, thank you.
Thank you so much, Yinan.
Thank you.
Thank you.